Short game, check. Balance, check. Full swing compression, checkmate. Let's do this. We all want to compress the ball. That's how you strike it solidly, get that ball first contact. Well, you know what? It's time for Proving It, presented by Titleist. Compressing the ball is maybe the most important thing. It's that thing that gives us that great feel that allows us to go, man, I'm making some strides in my game. Well, you know what? You're making strides. It's happening right now. Here's what you want to understand. There's a couple of things that happen when it comes to compressing the golf ball. Obviously, we know that the shaft of the golf club has to be leaning forward. That's a really big part of it. The other thing that's a huge part of it that we forget is, well, we say, well, the handle has to be staying ahead of the club head. But when the handle stays ahead of the club head, what happens is that it takes the lead hand and moves it out and away from the body. Well, we know it at impact, the trail hand is going to be closer to the ball than the lead hand, just like this. So that kind of seems like there's some opposite things going on there. Well, there is and there isn't. Here's what has to happen. In order for us to get that compression, we have to feel like that handle is staying ahead of the club head, but the lead hand has to be going inside the trail hand like this. Because at impact, I know the trail hand is going to be closer to the ball than the lead hand here, but it also wants to be going down to the ground. How do we do that? Well, what you got to feel is when you start coming down, you want to feel like you're taking the watch or the Titleist logo on my glove and you're spinning it down this way. Now, that is not over the top. Over the top is when the arms start to go out this way. Over the top is not the replacement of the lead hand, its relationship to the target line with the trail hand. That is not over the top. Now, what you're going to do is you get back here. I want you to feel like this lead arm is moving into the body and the trail arm or hand is pushing down. So you're getting this rotate down or that push down and a rotate in with the lead arm. So a little split grip right here. You'll see how solid that strike is. That's not a big swing. And when you do this, what you're going to start to feel is you're going to start to feel that lead hand moving in towards the thigh as the trail hand is coming down on the golf ball. So you can see how solid that strike is and how much my body is now on top of that golf ball. I'm not coming out of it. That's what that split hand grip does. So I've got the split, I've got the end of the grip right in the palm of the trail hand, and now I'm just letting that lead hand come in, and the palm of the trail hand is pushing down on that. So now I'm going to do one in slow motion and feel that same thing. And what you can see when I hit that is, come on over here. There's going to be a couple things that you're going to see. First, my launch angle goes to 15.1. That's coming down. Second, I start to get some side spin, some left side spin, about 920 RPMs of left side spin. What does that mean? That means that golf ball is going to come out. It's going to have a little tumble to it. It's going to have a little bit of a draw to it. So I'm going to do one more in slow motion, and then what we're going to do is we're going to hit one really hard. What this takes is this takes time. This is a very, very intricate move. And for those of you that are great ball strikers and you're really trying to get that little extra, this is a huge move for you. For those of you that are struggling, maybe you're hitting it a little bit thin, maybe you're hitting a little bit fat, the bottom of the arc is happening too soon. Another great thing, the split hand grip is a huge drill that will help you hit the ball more solidly than you've ever hit it in your entire life. Here we go. And I'm just making abbreviated swings, making slow motion. There's another good one. And a very, very smooth shot. Again, a little bit of a left spin to it, about 300 RPMs to the left. Now, I'm going to now exaggerate this on this one as I go faster, because what I want to do is I want to let this club feel like it's compressing the ground. And one of the keys to this whole thing is that stretching, or that pushing down that you're going to get from the trail hand here. It won't happen there. It'll actually happen out there, but it'll feel like there's a push down instead of a push out. It'll feel like a push down, and it will also feel like you're tipping the head of that golf club right out over the handle. All right? Now, let's see what we get here. So there's a really solid strike. That one there, come on over here, because all these numbers are excellent. Remember before I showed you that 15-degree launch angle? Well, now all of a sudden 15.9. I still apexed it at about 85 feet, actually at 83 feet, so that was good. Good backspin numbers. A little bit of a draw to it, which was great. That ball flew out about 178 yards, and it rolled out to about 181. So it doesn't release a tremendous amount. Even though you feel like you're getting that compression, you still have some good backspin. Backspin numbers, they're almost 5,600 on a 6-iron, which is pretty good. The ball speed was about 120, so that's excellent. Those numbers are great. Now, here's the litmus test. You bring in the breed bar. And we have that breed bar down like that. Now, what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to get this club head moving right down in this channel. And I don't know, Gibby, if you've got that in that camera one right there. You can see that club head as I'm making this move with the trail palm pushing down and the lead hand pulling away or pulling into me. Now all of a sudden that club is in that channel for a while. And when it's in the channel, now all of a sudden I'm going to be able to hit it in the center of the club face. So when I can control the bottom of the arc and I can hit it in the center of the club face, that is compression. That's ball contact you're not getting. We got to make sure we get that. All right, here we go. I'm going to give this one a real move here. And a good strike. Is it going to draw back to the target? It's not quite going to draw back to the target. Got to do one more. Don't send me to commercial just yet. I got to do one more here. So I did it. I just didn't do it enough. Here we go. Oh yeah. Did I get it? Did I get it again? No. I just missed it one more time. Can I? Yes, thank you. I love it. Jimmy, I knew that was you out there. Thanks for giving me that one more. You my man. All right, here we go. Last one, best one. Really feel that dumping down in there. There we go. That's a good one. And a little bit of left spin. Good launch, 14 degrees, 183. I got it. All right, now, you know what you need to do. We've got to get that great compression. We've got to get that great ball strike. We've got to ball first and then get into the ground. You got to make sure that we're getting that trail hand to push down on top, get the lead hand to come in there, get the head of that golf club out on the path, on the strike line. And when you get it on the strike line, that compression is going to be so much better. You're going to gain a lot of distance. You're going to gain a lot of ball speed, and you're going to have a lot of fun. That's Proving It, presented by Titleist. Time for our FootJoy Fix. We got to talk a little bit about short game. How do we become successful with hitting just a standard chip shot? What makes it so difficult? Well, one of the things that makes it difficult is when you're standing over the shot, you start fearing hitting it too short or hitting it too long, and you're not understanding how to control this golf ball. And here's the way it works. When you're hitting a shot, you have to control the distance that the ball is in the air and then the distance that the ball is on the ground. How do we determine the distance that the ball is going to travel? Well, one of the ways you do that is with spin rates. What does that mean? If I have a club that has less loft, I will lower spin rates. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I've got an 8-iron right here. Now, I'm going to hit this. That takes off. It starts to roll. It just misses what I wanted to hit the flag. But come on over here and let me show you what I'm talking about. I flew that about 8 yards. It rolled out to about 26. So obviously that's well under a 50-50 ratio. That if it was 26 total, 50-50 would be 13 in the air and 13 on the ground. This flew about 8 and then it rolled out to about 26. So we're talking about 18 additional yards. Spin rate right there is at 1706. Now, I'm going to start to go from 8-iron to 9-iron to wedge to the sand wedges. Watch how the spin rates are going to change. So now I go to the 8-iron. Remember, we're at 1700 with that 8-iron. I go down 9-iron. Now here we go. And I hit that one, and that one there rolled up. That rolled out pretty nicely. About 3,000 RPMs of backspin with the 9-iron. Let's hit another one and just verify, make sure that we're right. And that one there about 2,900. So we'll say it's about 2,900 with the 9-iron. Now, let me go to a pitching wedge. So we're about 1,700 on the 8, about 2,900 on the 9. And I might have just given that a little bit more than I wanted to give it. But look at that spin rate now. This is interesting. It's almost twice as much as the 8-iron. I got that to about 3,600. So we're going up and up and up, right? Now, I go into my 54. Better not let that fall down. So now I go to my 54. Here we go. Okay, so that was pretty good. Now come on up here. I got a good shot there. By the way, remember we were 8 and then it rolled out to 26. This one landed 13 and rolled out to 18. So only 5 yards of roll. That's the 54. Look at the spin rate here. 4743. Let's call it 4,700. So we've now increased it by well more than double. Now I go to the 58. 4740. Now come on up here. Another good shot. That one there spun even more. Look at that. 5472. We'll call that 5,500. So what you can see is as I start to get more loft, I start to get more spin. When I start to get more spin, now what happens is the ball starts to roll less. It's not going to roll quite as far. What does that mean? That means that when I'm hitting a shot, what I have to account for is how much is this going to roll out? Well, obviously with an 8-iron, it's going to roll out a lot more than it's going to roll out with a 58-degree wedge. Now, what does that mean that we have to do? Let me get the 9-iron back out again. What that means is that we have to choose where we want to land the ball based on our prediction of how far it's going to roll out. So with my 9-iron, I'm it's about a 30-70 for me with the 9-iron. So when I start to look at a shot of 20 yards, and I go, okay, well, 10 yards is the 50-yard line. I want to land it 30% of the way. So 30% of the way on that 20-yard shot is probably going to be in the neighborhood of about, I don't know, maybe, let's say 6 yards, 7 yards, somewhere in that area. 7 yards would be a third, right, for 21. So now I want to land this about 6 yards. I landed that at about 8.4, so I know that's going by. Because I wanted to land at 6, I landed at 8.4. Got to get better at that. Got to land it at 6 yards. That's the number that's going to get me close to this hole here. So let's go to this 6-yard shot again. That one there, about too far. It was accurate, hit my target, but again, I landed it at 8.5. So now what you start saying to yourself is, okay, is this shot a 9-iron shot for me? Well, it's not a great shot. I'm trying to hit it 6. I'm hitting it 2.5 yards farther than I want, so I know it's going to go too far by, which tells me I need to practice it. But it also kind of says, well, you know what? You tend to like to make a bigger swing. So what are the things that you can do to now get this to go a little bit shorter? Well, I can take some tempo out. Take some tempo out of the shot. And when you start to take some tempo out of the shot, now what happens is you start to get a little bit of feel. All right, so now I'm starting to feel this a little bit. Now let's see if I can get this one to 6. Here you go. Come on up here. And look at that. So by taking some tempo out, now I got that to land at 6 yards. It didn't quite roll as far as I thought it was going to roll. So I've got about a 3.5-foot putt, something in that neighborhood, 4-foot putt. So not terrible, but not exactly what I'm looking for. I love the tempo of that shot. So that tempo is one way you could take that out. Another way you could take distance out is get closer to the ball. What does that mean? Well, if I get closer to the ball, it's not going to apex as high. If it doesn't apex as high, it's going to get to the ground a little faster. So now I get on top of this. I hit that shot. Now come on up here. So that one there, I landed at 6.5. So right around 6, and it rolled out past the 20 yards. In fact, it went to 22 yards. So tempo is one way that you can change this distance as far as how far the ball goes, but it also changes how far it rolls on the ground. So now I go, okay, well, that's where I want to be. So now I think to myself, as I stand closer to this, now I'm more capable of landing at the distance that I want to land it. So now I get in here, grip down on it a little bit, hit that shot, and look at what happened again. Pretty accurate shot, but look at what happened. 6.5 again. So now 2 times in a row. So getting close to that golf ball allows me to take that trajectory down, which allows me to put the energy that I want into it and land it on the spot where I want. And it accounts for the distance that it's going to roll out. I get it to 20. So all those numbers match. So my 9-iron here, to be a 30-70 shot, I've got to stand a little bit closer. And that's what you want to be paying attention to. As we start getting better and better at the easy shots, now we start being able to shoot lower scores. And this little short game shot, this little just standard chip shot, you have to think about a number of things. One of the things you want to think about is, well, what's the spin that I need to put on the ball? Do I want the ball to roll out a little bit? Do I not want it to roll out? Is there a lot of break? If I have shots where there's a lot of break in it, like it's going to be on the green and then all of a sudden it's going to move 5 or 6 feet, I want to tend to go to a club that has a little bit more loft to it. Because when I hit it with a little bit more loft and I have a little bit more backspin, it's not going to roll as far. And if it doesn't roll as far, now all of a sudden I can take break out. And I like to hit these shots sort of at the flag or at the hole location rather than playing a lot of break. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about how far you want to land the ball and how far the ball is going to roll out based on the club that you choose, and then getting closer or farther from it or slowing down your technique. How is that affecting the golf ball, as well as this club selection and the spin rates that we're putting onto it based on the club that we're choosing. So there's a lot of little things that go on in this shot, but suffice to say this: you get to a point where you can make the easy shots easy, the game gets easier. The hard shots are always going to be hard, but a standard chip shot, you can definitely improve, and this is how you're going to do it. That's our FootJoy fix. Chipping is such an easy shot, isn't it? Except we're not as successful with this shot as we hope to be. Well, you know what? It's time for a grip tip presented by Golf Pride. You get over this little shot. It's such an easy one, just 20 yards. You get in here. You have all these thoughts going through your mind. Oh, you should be able to land this. I watch all these people that aren't as good as me. They hit great shots from here. These are all in your mind. And yet, I see bad stuff. And then you get into this and you go and you hit it and it lands and it takes off. And the next thing you know, you're hitting it past the hole. You've got a downhill 30-foot putt from a bad chip. You 3-putt that and you go, man, I just stink. Well, guess what? You don't. Here's what's going on. There are some people that are much more comfortable making longer swings when they hit short shots. And there's a couple of things that can be done to help you if you're one of those long swingers. And one of the things that you can do is take wrist hinge out of the swing. In other words, when you're hitting this shot, when you hit shots where you hinge your wrists, your arms don't really move that far. So I go like this. My arms they've moved maybe 5-6 inches outside of my trail thigh. But because I've hinged the club has gotten near parallel, and then you hit this shot and it jumps off the club and continues to roll forever and ever and ever and ever, and you go, I stink at this shot. No, you don't. Because what we can do by altering how we hold this club is that can allow us to make a long arm swing, but not a long club swing. Remember, I'm going to say this again. A long arm swing, but not a long club swing. Now, how do I get that? Well, remember I said before, when I get more wrist hinge, I don't have a long arm swing, but I'm going to have a long club swing. So the club is going to get up to here, almost parallel to the ground, while the hands have just gotten outside of the thigh. Well, what we want to do is we want to be able to let the hands get outside of the thigh, but keep the club in a low spot, making a short swing. The way you do it is to hold this like a putter. I know, it sounds so funny, but when we hold it like a putter, what we end up doing is we end up doing exactly what we want to do with a putter. We eliminate a lot of wrist hinge. So when we get in here this way, and now all I'm doing is making a putting stroke, what you can see is that when I make that swing, my hands have traveled a great distance. But look at the club head. It's very close to the ground. It's not parallel to the ground. And when I hit that shot, that one there flew about 6 yards in the air. It only rolled out to about 6.5 yards. 16.5 yards. Now, hold it like a putter. No wrist hinge at all. Good shoulder stroke. There's our stroke again. That one there flew about 6.5 yards in the air, rolled out to about 18.5 yards. Now, that allows me to make these long arm swings, but not have the club travel a great distance. Now let me show you one other thing that you want to do when you hit this shot, and that's this. You want to get close to the ball. So what I mean by that is, and we'll use a yellow one here so you can see this, and Gibby, if you can get close here for me, what I want to do is I want to get this toe so that it's in the ground. When I get the toe so it's in the ground, now when I come through the strike, I'm hitting it more off the toe. And when I hit it more off the toe, what that does is it deadens the shot. And so as it deadens the shot, the combination of the deadening of the shot hitting off the toe and no wrist set allows me to make a long swing with the arms. So now I can make a long swing, which is what I'm trying to do anyway, but I'm not getting a lot of distance. Out on the toe. There's the swing. There's another really good one. That ball flew about 7.5 yards in the air. So what I want you to realize is if you're one of those people that likes to make long arm swings, or in your short shots, you're hitting the ball and it's just going too far, the way you can take some distance out of that shot is hold it more like a putting stroke, get a little closer to it so that you're getting the club out on the toe, and now when you do this, now you're hitting the shot like that, and that golf ball isn't going to fly very far in the air, and it's also not going to roll very far on you. And when you're able to do that, you're going to be able to be successful with these short shots, and that is a grip tip presented by Golf Pride. It's time for a transformational tip presented by Morgan Franklin. You want so much to be a great ball striker, but you don't understand how the weight is supposed to move in the feet. Well, it's got to change. Now, what I mean by that is this. When we stand over a shot and we're going to hit this a great distance, we're going to generate a lot of speed out of this club head. What we need to understand is how the weight is going to move or transfer within the body's circular momentum and lateral movement to be able to generate a lot of club head speed. One of the most important things that you can talk about or understand is the depth of the hip in the backswing and the placement of the weight into the trail heel, right in this spot right here. That's what we want to feel. We want to feel that circular movement of the hip and the depth of the hip so that the weight gets into that heel. The easiest way to feel it is with a half foam roller. It honestly is the easiest way. Now, one of the reasons why I like it as well is because this is something that you can do at the house. just get a golf club. You can use it for your balance. Just hold it with your balance. And then what I want you to do is I want you to set into your stance. So you would come down here like this, and you'll notice what you'll feel is you'll feel a lot of bend, a lot of movement in the thighs. Look at that there. You'll feel some bend in the knees, some pressure in the thigh, and you're going to feel a lot more weight on the back side of this half foam roller. Now, when we start to move into this backswing, I want you to feel like you're keeping that weight distribution back into here. Well, the only way to do that is to have this hip stay back. If I make a rotation and go out onto my toes, I'm going to fall right off the roller. We want to stay on that. We want to get that feeling of that weight staying into that foot just like that, into that heel. And once you're in there, now all of a sudden you can generate a lot of speed. That is something that I would recommend doing 5-10 minutes every single day. You're going to get your quads, your glutes, you're going to start to get some real strength. And that strength is going to allow you to stay in posture as you start to make that backswing. So let me show you what I mean. A poor backswing, the arms and hands might go out here, the weight distribution might fall to the forward foot. I want you to feel like you're sinking into the ground on that, just like that foam roller. So here we get set like this. We make that motion just like that. Now, let's go ahead and hit one here. Okay, really good shot right there. That actually has a little bit of a draw to it. I'm going to miss my target by just a fraction, but an excellent shot. So that rear hip staying back is allowing me to get that weight into the heel, and as I get into the heel, now I can generate some speed. Now, that's how the half foam roller can help you in the backswing. In the down and through swing, now what we want to do is feel something somewhat similar again. So we have that position at the top of the backswing, and now as we start to come down, I want to feel that lead hip rotating back and pushing some weight back this way, so that when I go back, now I can push off that forward leg and I can generate some speed. Again, another thing that you can do with the house. And when you start to do that, what you're going to start to get is you're going to start to get a tremendous amount of ball speed, a tremendous amount of club head speed, and more distance. Now, what I recommend doing here is just focusing on what you're doing in the forward swing here. So we're making that back swing. That's already done. Now we're going to feel that hip stay back, imagining that half foam roller underneath your feet, and then push back. And what you're going to feel is you're going to feel the hips staying back in here. You'll also feel a tremendous amount of room for the arms and hands to get the club down. So all we're doing is working on this down and through swing, assuming we make a perfect backswing. So perfect, and now through, and now I have some real depth to it. And now look at this one. This one there, I pick up even a little bit more club head speed, a little bit more distance. That one flies about 180 yards. Ball speed got up to 119.5. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put it all together. And the usage of the foam roller when you're away from the golf course, because we all complain, well, we don't get a chance to practice that much. I'm with you. I don't get to do it as much. You get yourself that half foam roller, and I promise you, find time at the house and you will be improving your game. Just get on that 5 minutes a night. Cross your arms across. Feel that depth of the trail hip back there, and then keeping that lead hip back in there as well. All right, let's see what we can get, both of them. Some good space to let the arms and hands come down into. That was a really good strike there. Now, come on up here. Remember I told you before that the ball speed on that last one was 119.5 and it went 180. This one jumps up to 125. It flew 182, rolled out to 184.5. So what does that all mean? What it means is that understanding how to generate speed is understanding how to control that weight as it's rotating both in a circular fashion and also in a linear fashion. And what we need to be able to do is jumping on that half foam roller, feel that weight distribution getting pushed back, keeping that weight on the back side of that foam roller, feeling that pressure getting into that trail heel. And then the same thing happening in the down and through swing, and then pushing off. And as you start to get comfortable with that half foam roller and you use that at home, you're gonna start to generate a lot more club head speed, get some real consistency, and get that strike coming out of the center of the club face. That's a transformational tip, and it's presented by Morgan Franklin.